Ever wondered what a professor is looking for on an assignment? It's really a good question, isn't it? Like if you wanted to take a shortcut and cheat, so to speak, if you knew what the professor is looking for, boy, that would be a big feather in your cap. Well, let me break the bad news to you. What the professor is looking for is evidence that you've wrestled with the material and that you've disciplined your mind as a result of wrestling with the material. There's no easy, cheap way to give a professor what he's looking for. It means work on your side, work on your behalf. The first thing a professor is always looking for is that you take the time to read the instructions and think carefully what it is the professor is asking for. Nothing irritates a professor more than getting answers to questions that the professor didn't ask or doing an assignment that the professor isn't interested in. The reason why is that a professor has taken a lot of time to think about what exactly they want you to do in order to extract the most out of the assignment. So when you don't do what the professor asked, the professor is feeling really cheated. And that's not good. That's not what you want. So how do you do that? One of the best ways to do that is to read the questions carefully. Notice things like what module is the assignment in? How did the professor title the assignment? Just the little cues that the professor has actually thought about, I guarantee it, to set up how you should be thinking about this assignment. And then as you begin to do it, think to yourself, well, what would it look like to do what this professor is asking? What is he actually asking for? And try to visualize what doing it correctly would look like. And that's going to help you get off on the right foot, heading in the right direction, and it'll also cue you in if you're going off track a little bit. A second thing I would say is read and show that you've read or viewed or whatever it is, the material that was assigned. Don't say things like, this assignment was a great assignment about liberal studies. I learned a lot about liberal studies reading this assignment. That doesn't tell me that you've read and wrestled with it. All that tells me is that you recognize that the assignment was from liberal studies. And in fact, it raises a suspicion in my mind that you didn't read it at all and you're just trying to pass it off as such. So that's one way not to do it. Another way not to do it is to just add random quotes that don't make sense and don't make your point and don't show that you've understood the material at all. Make sure if you're going to use a quote that it represents the idea that you want it to represent. If you want to paraphrase it, if you want to use a quote, that's fine. Just make sure that you do it well and that you do it in such a way that I go, yeah, they read the material, they get what the main point is. A third thing the professor is looking for is what used in my parents' generation was called giving it the old college try. College is meant to be something more than anything you've done intellectually. It's meant to be disciplined. It's meant to be hard. It's meant to form your mind in an important way. So if you give it the old college try, that means you dig deep. You don't settle for a cursory examination or something that was whipped out at the last minute. Nothing annoys a professor more than when they spend more time making the assignment than you spend responding to it. So give it some effort. You need to be in it to win it in a college class. You need to show that you're giving it the college try. And what's great is that covers a multitude of sins, so to speak. If you completely misunderstand the point, but you've put effort into it and you've tried to make sense of the material and it's obvious that you've done so, a professor is much more forgiving, much more lenient to you because they know you're trying, and the goal is to form your mind. The goal is to discipline your thought processes. Disciplining your thought processes is like working out. Most of us are weak and out of shape before we start working out, and it's the process of doing that brings us into shape. So that's what a professor wants to see. They want to see you working out your mind and trying to do it well. Hope these help.